After all, what is Gayatri mantra? Prachodayat. Ultimately, you just tell God, you just provoke me to do my job. Prachodayat. Higher you go, the humbler you should be. Ramanathan is the highest qualified man in the Tamil Nadu. Because I interact with a lot of IAS officers. These youngsters, you must see. Even 2 months ago, I was in the IRS academy. But here is an exception. He's an Indian in color, Indian in blood, Indian in thinking, Indian in morals, and very much an Indian. வணக்கம். நான் தமிழ்ல பேசலாம்னு நினைச்சேன். ஆனா வேண்டான்னு இல்லை, கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டமா இருக்கும். என்னன்னா அந்த இங்கிலீஷ்ல திங்க் பண்ணி தமிழ்ல பேசுறது கஷ்டம். தமிழ்ல திங்க் பண்ண பரவாயில்ல, அது கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டம் இருக்கு. அதனால இங்கிலீஷ்ல பேசுறதுக்கு உங்க பர்மிஷன் கேட்கிறேன். Respected Commissioner Mr. Ramanathan, whom I am meeting for the first time today, but I am very much impressed by him. I still remember there used to be one Peri Shastri, who was the director of the Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Training for these IAS, IPS officers. He was requesting, in the early 70s, he was requesting me to go over to their institute and give 1 month's lectures to these IAS, IPS, what do you call those? Trainees, so new appointees, which I of course do regularly for the IRS people, income tax, etc., in Nagpur regularly. So only problem with Peri Shastri was they could give only train fare to go to Mussoorie on a train. It will take about 10 days for me from Mangalore, and it was so difficult. So after some, I told Shastri Saab, if you can get me airfare, I'll come. But train fare is difficult because I can't spend so many days. But what he wanted was to teach these young boys and girls the real education. What happens to most of us? We don't have education, we have literacy. Education is something totally different. In the olden days, India had, like Britain, binary system of education. That is, the universities gave humanities education, which is very vital, and the non-university institutions gave vocational training. They made you a doctor, made you an engineer, made you this, made you that, made you a plumber, made you an IAS officer, etc. But the real education came from humanities. Even today, if you go to Australia in Brisbane, you can't go to the medical school unless you have a degree in humanities. Degree. It can be music, it can be art. See, we have to realize that the greatest thing of a man's life is to acquire humility. And this young man, I was so pleased because he is humble to the core. And I think Ramanathan is the highest qualified man in the Tamil Nadu. Because I interact with a lot of IAS officers. These youngsters, you must see. Even 2 months ago, I was in the IRS academy. The arrogance of those boys and girls, you must see. They think they are on the top of the world. Little do they realize that higher you go, the humbler you should be. There's a nice little couplet written by a Rashtrakavi in Kannada. I will translate that to Tamil. காலையில் இந்த சூரியன் இருக்கான மேலே வருவானே, மேலே வந்துட்டே இருப்பான். அவன் சண்டை போடுறான், டார்க்னஸை கூட சண்டை போட்டுட்டு வெளியே வரான். வந்தப்படியே மேலே போறப்பயே சின்னதா போறான். அவன் என்ன சொல்றான்னா, கவி என்ன சொல்றான்னா, மேலே போனவன் சின்னதா இருக்கணும். இது இந்த லோகத்துக்கு டெய்லி அவன் ரிமைண்ட் பண்ணிட்டே இருக்கான். ரொம்ப நல்லா சொல்றான். ஏறுவனு ரவி இஸ் சன், ஏறுவனு goes up. ಕತ್ತಲೊಡನೆ ಜಗಳಾಡುವನು, he is fighting with darkness. ಏರಿದಂತೆಲೇ ಚಿಕ್ಕವನಾಗಿ ತೋರುವನು, when you go up you become smaller and smaller. ಏರಿದವನು, one who goes up, ಚಿಕ್ಕವನಾಗಿರಬೇಕಿಲೇ, humbler. He proclaims to the world every day. What a beautiful saying. And vidya dadhati vinaya, that is education. And Ramanathan, I am very proud of you. I am not praising you because I am not in Tamil Nadu to get any breadcrumbs thrown by you. I am not praising you because you are an IAS officer. I am telling you because I know arrogant to the core IAS officers. They are a menace to this country, I tell you. Because they are the same ICS mentality. They are British in thinking, British in morals, British in ethics, Indian in blood and Indian in color. But here is an exception. He is an Indian in color, Indian in blood, Indian in thinking, Indian in morals, and very much an Indian. Then the veteran homeopaths, they're all giants on the days, one after another. Then all of you friends and my friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, I have been asked by your president to talk about these great people, Kopika, Dr. Kopika. Kopikar, the surname reminds me of something. We used to have a professor of anatomy called Kopikar. Very great man, very nice man. So maybe the same family this gentleman also belongs to. Is that right? Yeah. So Kopikar was a very nice man. I could make out from his face. The whole man's face is, everything is written in the face. Heinemann was a great thinker. Heinemann was a doctor, an MD himself. But he couldn't save his little son from a septicemia. He was stitching something, button or something, the needle went into his hand and that became a septicemia and the boy died. So he lost faith in the system and he started thinking. You know, thinking is something that is missing in our educational system. Educational system must allow the child to think. Dr. Alexis Carrel is a Nobel laureate who is a surgeon who taught the present surgeons to make money by transplanting organs. If Alexis Carrel was not born, we wouldn't have had the bother of transplanting organs, because which is going against nature anyway. Alexis Carrel wrote a book called Man the Unknown. I want you to read it. It's a nice book because it shows how a mind could be good and bad together. Because if you read the book at the end, he says all the psychiatric patients are a nuisance to society. They are a drain on the purse. They must all be gassed. This is the German, the Hitler mentality. But the book has some very good science in it, where he says every newborn child is a genius, only to be converted into an idiot in school. It's absolutely right. What do we do in school? We don't give real education. Education, if you go to Socrates' root term, educe, it's derived from Latin, educe. Educe means deliver. Educe is deliver, bring forth. What do you deliver? They deliver the best in the child out. So every teacher is a midwife. What does a midwife do? Stands by the side of a mother in pain, coaxing her, cajoling her, sympathizing with her, empathizing with her, helping her, assisting her to and provoking her to deliver. Who delivers? The mother delivers. In the school, who delivers? The teacher delivers. That's the difference. No. Teacher's job is to stand by the side of a child in distress, coaxing the child, cajoling the child, provoking the child. After all, what is Gayatri mantra? Prachodayat. Ultimately, you just tell God, you just provoke me to do my job. Prachodayat. I have to do my job. That's my job. And that's exactly what a teacher should do.